My name's Pete Woods, you're watching Hexham TV. Who are you and where are you from?
I'm Andy Dean, I'm Chief Exec at Community Action Northumberland, CAN for short, and we're what's called a Rural Community Council. Every English county has one. We're a charity and we're here to support and do what we can to help rural communities in Northumberland. We get a bit of money every year from the government, from DEFRA still, bizarrely, in these days of austerity. It's still got a little bit of a grant. But most of our money comes from income that we generate through activities we do, funding we apply for, fundraising, etc. So, but I'd say we're here to do what we can for rural communities' needs in Northumberland.
And one of the things you're looking at the moment, Andy, is housing.
Yeah, that's right. Housing, as always, I used to work for a local authority for a long time in Northumberland, and affordable housing has been a massive issue in particularly rural communities for, I don't know, it seems like forever. Certainly very, very long time, and it's very hard to meet that need through, price of land, through losing existing social housing stock, through right to buy or whatever it might be. Nothing wrong with right to buy, but it needs to be replaced, and it needs to be replaced in the same place, really, if you're going to maintain the stock, let alone think about adding to it. It's very complicated, and of course a lot of communities aren't that keen on seeing development as well. Or at least that's the kind of the headline. Actually, quite a few communities recognise the need, and if it could be done in a slightly different way that's acceptable to them, then actually a lot more communities are up for it. So what we're involved with now is an initiative called Communities Can, and it's using some money that the County Council have been awarded through something called the Community Housing Fund, which the government has given them. It'd be nice if that carries on for another few years. It's supposed to, but we'll see. Certainly they've got some money now from that fund. And we're using that money to promote the idea of something called community-led housing, trying to say to communities across rural Northumberland, look, this is what it's all about. If you want to get involved, come and see us. And we're also, where communities are interested in that, going to help them implement schemes. Community-led housing is basically all about providing affordable houses in places that communities want to see them developed in a way that they have control over where they are, what they look like, how they're managed, etc., etc. There's a whole range of different options that community-led housing can take. If you look in Northumberland at the minute, we're doing really well actually. There's quite a few schemes around on the ground. So at one end of the spectrum, you've got Glendale Gateway Trust up in Wooler, who developed houses themselves, rent them out themselves, manage them themselves, so keep the income. So that helps them with their maintaining their organisation, but also it gives them absolute control over every element of not only how those properties came to be and where they are, but how they're managed, so who goes into them, all those sort of things, the letting policies. Through to the other end of the spectrum, say in Stocksfield, where Scatter, which is the Stocksfield Community Association trading arm, Scatter, have also developed some community-led affordable homes in Stocksfield, on land that they own, but actually they lease that land to a housing association, in this case Carbon Homes, used to be called ISOS, to build the buildings and to manage them. So they kind of have taken a more of a hands-off approach to the actual management, but actually fully involved in actually where they go and what they look like and all those sort of things. So kind of what we're trying to do is encourage more communities to follow that route if they want to. And this isn't about going to place and say, right, you must have 10 houses or whatever. It's where communities have already identified that need, want to do something about it, and this is a different option to actually achieve that. What you find with community-led housing, more often than not, is that because the community is more in control, they're more likely to say, actually, this is something we want. It's in smaller numbers, tends to be small numbers, not big estates, which tends to be how bigger developers, bigger providers can make the sort of finances stack up. It's smaller schemes are more acceptable, and there's always local letting policies in place. So it's let primarily to local people, either living or working or needing to work, or people returning to the village or the town. And in a way, everyone's a winner in theory. And as I say, in the case of somewhere like Wooler, the local community organisation is also generating an income stream from it. So we're keen to just get the message out that this is available and that we can help. We're not setting up a whole new structure to do this. What we're trying to do is use the money that's available to pay existing organisations, existing community organisations, to help others to put schemes in place. Right from housing needs assessments, identifying whether there's actually a need for affordable houses or not, and proving that. particularly for the planning authority, right through to actually planning permission and getting things built and doing a deal if necessary, or if that's what's wanted with a housing association or whoever to manage or to help an organisation put its own process in place. That's it.
What's the normal point of contact with local communities, Andy? I mean, who would come forward suggesting this sort of scheme or asking about it?
The ones that have happened so far have largely either come from a local development trust, so a local charity, local existing organisation, or sometimes from the parish council. Quite often at the moment there are either neighbourhood plans being done, or there's been parish plans and various other sort of initiatives done in the past which have identified a need. And sometimes it's the parish council, certainly with neighbourhood plans it's the parish council. With other sorts of less formal plans, there's a number of organisations sometimes locally that have identified a need. So it could come from a variety of sources. We are at the moment, we're just next week actually going to be sending out a questionnaire to all the parish and town councils in Northumberland to ask who knows about this, who might have existing thoughts on this, who would like to find out more, and we'll be holding some workshops in September, one in Hexham at the Cricket Club on the Wednesday the 13th of September. That's it. So if anybody's interested, and that's although that's primarily targeted at parish and town councils, it's not exclusively. So if anybody else wants to come along and find out more about community-led housing, just get in touch with CAN, which is 01670 517 178, or email info@ca-north.org.uk.
And Andy, presumably because the funding has come from the county council, when they are then approached by a local group through yourselves or an association with yourselves, generally, all things being equal, you would hope that the county council might support these sorts of projects.
Yeah, and the county council had £1.3 million of this community housing fund last year, so we're using a tiny part of that to actually facilitate groups and organisations make use of the rest of it. Hopefully there's going to be more of that grant coming forward in future years to the county council. Even if not, they're what they call the commuted sums pot, which is the pot of cash which allocations are made by developers from as part of Section 106 schemes, go into a pot which is used to develop new affordable housing. That's potentially there, it's potentially available. And the government themselves, through the Homes and Communities Agency, shortly to be renamed Homes England, but the HCA for short, also have their own money, and they're really keen on funding community-led schemes as well. So I think in terms of the capital funds to make schemes happen, there's a number of avenues that certainly mean that this is an avenue really worth embarking down.
And is there a possibility, if they didn't go through the local sort of town council or something like that, for a group of individuals to come together and suggest this sort of
yes,
approach?
certainly. I mean, they need to set themselves up in some sort of formal way ultimately, or simply pass on that to an existing organisation if they've done some work on it. But yeah, anybody can do it. The whole point is it's community led, so it's local people that are saying, look, we know there's a need, we know house prices are up here, incomes are down here, there's a massive differential, there's so many people who are never ever going to be able to afford to buy a house. We've got to provide a different solution if we want our community to be sustainable, and we've got people that are working and living, and it's a viable community. So it's trying to provide something in that gap. And so whoever's coming forward with that, we will try to work with as far as we can to make something happen.
Andy Dean from CAN, thank you very much for talking to Hexham TV.
Thank you.